Hello, everyone. Welcome to our usual Sunday afternoon edition kitchen table talk. But today is Saturday because I'm busy and I'm just getting more busy. It's very ridiculous actually. We were talking in the green room, and because it's Saturday, it's a little bit more sparse, but it's nice. I like having. It's easier to have quick conversations this way rather than when there's like 12 or 15 people in here. So it's actually kind of nice. We were just talking, Max and I. What were we talking about, Max? Because I've kind of lost the thread now.
About doing like say like a budget day special because all indicators are pointing to like budget ain't gonna pass
Yeah, it
and we're
does.
going to the polls.
It does look like the budget isn't going to pass.
And isn't it funny that like the budget isn't gonna pass as soon as like CPC actually gets their head out of their ass and starts
Huh.
doing things? Isn't that a little funny timing?
I don't know
Huh.
that they're actually
Look at
doing.
that.
I don't know that they're actually doing anything. That's the problem. And like the
Oh no, I agree with you. But like the fact that Brookfield people are being called to like, testify, and then all of a sudden,
yeah.
bingo, bango, bongo, we're going to an election.
Yeah.
That's funny timing.
That's interesting. Yeah, I agree. Well, we went to an election to keep other documents from being surrendered to the House of Commons, and in that case, the guy came to the House of Commons and was like, "I'm not going to actually give you anything." Yeah, I think that the budget won't pass, but also I've heard rumors that and I've seen polls, and I think they're bullshit. I think all the polls are bullshit, but I've seen polls that Carney is the preferred prime minister. So it really does feel like we're going right into an election right now because there's polling coming out, the rhetoric coming from
Yeah, look, the
everybody.
messaging,
Everybody.
every party is in campaign mode.
Yeah, except I haven't heard anything from the NDP. So I don't know.
Yeah, but they're leaderless, so they don't really
Yeah,
matter.
no, I know, but they do matter though, right? Like if the NDP support this budget for whatever reason, then um, everything, everything. Oh, somebody got denied on the kitchen table talk. Sorry, man. I don't know. I can't fix it while I'm doing this right now. Shit. What was I saying?
About like the budget passing in the
Oh,
NDP.
yeah. So the NDP are leaderless. Yes, they have kind of joke leaders running. I think kind of sort of right, like the Eves. What's his name? The communist guy. But because of that, because they're leaderless, because they're kind of screwed they don't have very much money, and because people really don't like the NDP and what they stand for at this point in time, that says to me maybe they'll support this budget to give them a year to rebuild or something like that, finish their leadership race anyway. Because if we go into an election in December, when is the leadership race finished? Isn't it March or something like that for the NDP?
I think so.
Yeah. So like,
I also think part of me agrees with the fact that Kearney would get a majority, and like I texted this to like Noel earlier in the week, but like people in like Ottawa and the GTA, I don't think they like have like suffered enough, frankly. I
yeah.
think they were just voting in like Kearney again. I don't think people have suffered enough. I think people out west have suffered enough, obviously, under the past 10 years of like liberal mismanagement.
Yeah.
I think people even out east with like all the fisheries and tariffs have suffered, but I don't think the like GTA and like Ottawa have suffered enough, and that's where the whole election is decided. So frankly, I don't think it matters.
Okay, yeah, well, I agree. So like they've got enclaves. So Quebec and Ontario are kind of liberal enclaves. They often get a lot of liberal votes, very dense in like for Toronto, for example, they have 56 seats for what is it, a population of 3 million people around there,
Yeah.
right? So 56 seats, 3 million people. The Maritimes has 2.7 million people and a similar amount of seats. Alberta has 5.5 million people. They have 52 seats or something like that, right? I'm ballparking here.
It's something
It's in
around that.
It's in
Yeah.
that area. So like, yeah, we've got these hot spots where it's like the Liberals are going to win 150 seats just in Ontario and Quebec, and that's kind of like a given almost. And so if the Liberals start losing Quebec or losing Ontario, then they start panicking. Even if they start losing the Maritimes a little bit, but I hear what you're saying. Like,
It doesn't matter. You can lose the
Yeah.
Maritimes because the Maritimes is countered out by Alberta.
yes,
Exactly.
by design.
Every action has a
100% by
reaction.
design.
Yeah. So this is part of the rigging. Like it's part of the rigged election. Like they're not worried because for a lot of the reasons you say, Max, like when you say that the Ontario hasn't suffered or you know, the East hasn't suffered, the central area, Quebec and,
Yeah,
and we haven't suffered. What do you, what do you mean?
Obviously, I mean that I think people are still drinking the Kool-Aid. Look at people like in like say just like Ottawa. Ottawa is mostly government workers.
Yeah. Yeah.
For
Yeah.
example.
Well,
They haven't hit
and-
bottom yet.
Carney's
They haven't hit
exactly
rock bottom.
on this.
that's my point. And I guess another example is like the East is still getting Alberta's money. We really haven't suffered as badly as like we could, and I think like equalization is like complete and utter horseshit, but that's a fact. People haven't suffered enough because of like all the policies that like are in place, and I think if, for example, Carney gets even a minority or a majority, I can see some consequences being, I think Alberta separatism will like become even more emboldened. And I think, but even then, I don't think that matters. And I can get into reasons why if like everyone's curious, but I think separation becomes even more of an option. And then I think personally, I don't know if this will happen, but I can't see the current configuration of the CPC existing because they've lost 4 elections now. And something is fundamentally broken, whether that's by design of like John Cabal or like whatever, but something is broken, and I think people will start to realize that like the CPC is not our heroes. Because look at all of these commentators popping up out of nowhere, seemingly after Poilievre got elected, saying that like Pierre Poilievre's our guy. I can think of a few of these people, like say Jasmine Lane, the like Elevate podcast, Mark Nixon, Pleb, all these people popped up out of nowhere. Does nobody find that a little odd, say?
Yep.
Like, because I find that odd, and nobody in like our sphere of influence is willing to like talk about that. And why is that?
Well, and I mean, it's funny because like even talking about censorship, the way I talk about censorship, like my show's censored and it is censored, but it sounds like sour grapes. It sounds like, oh, well, you're just a loser who can't get views, you know, and like you're just complaining because censorship is a convenient excuse for you to lay at the feet of your lack of success. You know, like if you were just more like Jasmine Lane or more like Mark Nixon.
It's like a cope.
Yeah,
like
right, exactly. Yeah, so people stay away from it, which is why I talk about it, because I feel like it is important. Because and that guy, the guy in the Blue Jays garb, I can't remember his name, and I feel bad about that, but when he went to Portugal, I think it was Portugal, and he started doing his videos in Portugal, and like it was uncensored, and he was getting 4 million views. Stuff like that is just crazy, right? And it's
I can
so
point to
blatant.
another example of like astroturfing. Look at how hard like the Ben Mulroney show is being astroturfed.
I know, it's terrible. Terrible.
This is a secret. I watched the Ben Mulroney show because I am genuinely interested in like this take, and it's the most astroturf stuff. Do you know who is like one of the most common people on like his panel
Who?
discussions? Our good buddy Warren Kinsella.
Oh yeah,
Everyone's favorite Liberal Party operative, Warren Kinsella.
that's hilarious. That's hilarious.
Embodiment of like conservatism. And I was watching this episode about, I'm sorry, I'm going on a side tangent, about the like breakdown in trade between Ontario and the US. And Brian's whole thing was like, oh yeah, my dad fought like for like free trade or like free trade, guys, trust me. The like liberals are right, and it's like all horseshit, and it's the most astroturf thing I've ever seen. And I'm convinced my tinfoil hat is that he's being set up to like lead the next incarnation of like whatever the like whole CPC is. I can't unsee it.
Yeah, I was gonna finish with that, Max. Yeah, you called it,
And
that's exactly what they're doing.
On like a tangent, but it's so clear, it's so obvious. I
Yes.
can't unsee it.
Yes, yeah. It's like noticing that the transvestite at the beginning of Crocodile Dundee is a man, right? The whole bar sees it, but Mick just can't see it, right? But everybody else sees it. Thanks, Max. And we got Ryan's got his hand up.
Yeah, I'm not sure if the budget's gonna pass or if it will or not. I have been hearing though, like if the Conservatives, if like 6 of them or 10 of them are sick and they don't show up, then the budget passes. And then, we go into the next year, and then I'm thinking maybe they'll do that and then do the election then. Yeah, just so that the NDP can get somebody in there.
That would be crazy. That would be a crazy thing. Like if the Conservatives didn't act or just purposely sandbagged just to allow the NDP to get their shit together. Nah.
Well,
that's not how they do it.
there isn't a election, I'm thinking, because Pierre, he's gonna lose again. It's just and I'm pretty sure they know that. Like they're gonna lose. The
But all
Liberals
of
will get
the
a
so
majority.
the reason that I support an election is because it'll kill all the bad bills.
Oh yeah, for
Like
sure.
I'm
Yeah, but if you
I
get a
don't-
majority, then it
Right.
doesn't matter.
Right.
well, that's true. I don't see how they could get a majority. Like nobody. So like Carney came in and said, "I'm like made all these. I'm going to give you ice cream, and there's going to be Slurpee
Here's the
machine."
thing is like I am like the friggin' the
The Trump whisperer. Yeah, right, exactly. So he came in with all these promises 6 months later, and Canada's weaker than ever. We're worse than ever. And nothing that he's said or done, the only thing he's been successful at is removing the word from his vocabulary, kind of, right? Like,
Oh yeah. Well, yeah. There's a lot of jobs being lost in Canada right now.
yeah,
For sure.
And that's the other thing.
I
If they
agree.
go into an election right now, the budget says 70,000 people are going to lose their job, their government, nice, high-paying government job. And so
Yeah.
when Max says they haven't suffered enough, that might be enough. Like that might be enough to, because I'm sure Pierre Poilievre is going to say we can do this with austerity. We can do, or not austerity. We can do this with, what's it when you don't fire anybody, but people just
It's like
retire.
penny pinching.
Reti-
right?
no, they
It's like penny
retire
pinching in a
out.
way.
Oh, attrition.
Attrition, that's the word. Thank you. Yeah, that's the word. We could do this
Yeah.
through attrition. That's what Doug Ford does. We'll grow into it. We'll grow our economy in, like, we won't have any more people hired, but we won't fire anybody. And then we'll grow the economy into it, and then everybody's happy, right? And you need 10 years to do that, but it doesn't. That's what Doug Ford's whole plan was. That's what he said in 2018, and look where we are now. We've grown into it. Nonsense.
Well, I guess if they go into an election, the Liberals can blame the Conservatives, saying, "Well, we can't get nothing done. We need a majority." It's because of the Conservatives, or
I guess.
there's a whole bunch
Like,
of
sure, but
different-
but they
They're
haven't.
ramping
But all the
up
stuff,
now.
all the stuff they're trying to do, is allow migrants to rape and torture Canadians.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And steal money from us, the taxpayer, to pay off migrants. And they haven't been able to actually get a trade deal. They haven't been able to actually do anything. Everything's worse, and I don't think they can lay that at the feet of the Republicans, of the Conservatives. They'll try. I'm sure they'll try, but like,
Yeah, but they have the media. And
They
the
do have
media
the
will
media.
do anything for them, and it doesn't really matter what the truth is. We've seen that for the
That's
past
true,
couple
too.
elections.
that's true.
And like
too.
I'm not trying to be doomer.
No,
This
no,
is just
no.
the like way it is. And like I don't see Pierre beating Carney because it's the same backroom boys that were there during Harper, Scheer, O'Toole,
Well-
and we see these backroom boys have tons of power. Whether it's kicking out Jim Carahalios, DeCarey, Maxime Bernier, Derek Sloan. We've seen this pattern time and time again. And any real conservative who still is true to like their values, and even if I don't 100% agree with them everything I say, or they say, they get the boot.
Mhm.
And that's a pattern of events we've seen for like the past 10 years of this current incarnation of the CPC.
I agree. Like, well, just my whole philosophy of this whole thing is happiness, freedom. We're not going to fix this through manifesting into politics at all. Like
I agree.
politics, we're done. It's done.
Mhm.
I think it doesn't matter what's going to happen. That's the whole thing. But
Oh, I fully agree.
Trying-
I was just saying that like if I'm
Agree.
thinking about this from like Joe Normie,
Yeah.
this is what I think.
Well-
if that makes sense.
Yeah. And one thing that I'll agree with you and add to what you're saying, Max, is that the Conservatives won't work with a natural ally in the PPC, and you can't cut your allies off. You can't say I'm this conservative and not that conservative. I'm not conservative enough to talk
For
about
example, you would never
remigration.
see anybody in this current incarnation of the CPC work with like Diagolon,
Right.
for
Yeah,
example.
they won't
You would
invite
never
Jeremy
see them do any
McKenzie.
sit downs with like with like Rebel News. They like do scrums, like but they never like sit down and do interview and like do an interview proper, because every time they like either get clowned on by like Rebel News' base. I mean, look at the like CPC MP who did an like interview about the like ostriches. He got clowned on in like the comments, and like rightfully so. And then they also get clowned on by like all the media, by like the like Rosemary Martins and like everyone else.
Yeah.
So so like of course they're not gonna like sit down with like any like real conservative people.
No,
because it just doesn't win for them.
Well, but they're not winning with this small cutout of conservatives as they
I agree.
as they like them, right? That's not really conservatism. That's centrism, right? It's like
it's weakness.
It's weak. Oh yeah, it's weak. It's weak, but it's weak up and down, right? Like it's weak everywhere, because where's the political party in Ontario that's going as hard as 1BC? Sorry, MC, you've had your hand up forever, and I apologize, but we're just
I'll shut up. I'm sorry.
But like 1BC is going hard, right? Danielle Smith's not going hard, but she's at least somewhat coherent and conservative. Like we should drill, baby, drill. You know, like. But like we don't have Doug Ford is a liberal. Like Doug Ford is a really left liberal, right? Like Tim Houston's a liberal, right? Like so we don't have in Ontario, we don't have anyone in Nova Scotia.
It's ironic that most premiers in the country are conservative, quote unquote,
in name,
and yet,
but
exactly,
not really conservative.
Left people.
Yeah, they're like, don't forget to get vaccinated.
It's why I laugh at people cheering on these like parties, like, oh boy, guys, the good old blue team won this time, even though it doesn't matter because they're all the same. It's a big club and we ain't in it. I
asked Ben Mulrooney if he'd come on my show. He blocked me. So thanks, Max. MC. No, I wasn't surprised. Thanks, Max. MC.
Well, going back to what Ryan was saying about 5 or 6 guys staying home that day, like, wouldn't that be just like the throne speech when they just stood there and like,
let it pass on division? Yeah. And C5, I asked them why they passed C5. The justification for passing C5, what C5 does fundamentally is give the Liberals a way around their bad Bill C-69, their No More Pipelines bill. Why would you do that as a strategy? If the Liberals want to build pipelines, they should repeal their bad laws. They shouldn't be asked the Conservatives to pass C5, and the Conservatives certainly shouldn't oblige them, right? If you want my response to Mr. Carney, pass C5 because we want to build pipelines, it would be repeal C69, you effing communist. Like I wouldn't tolerate this shit. But the Conservatives under Poilievre passed the throne speech on division, supporting the Liberals, but fighting them on Twitter, passed C5 in the House of Commons. Gender, yeah, but that's going back before Poilievre was leader. This is now.
But still,
right?
it's like still a trend though.
Oh yeah, and they don't say a damn word about all the LGBT nonsense. I mean, they're going to talk. Apparently, there's all this funding for gay stuff in the budget. Why are we funding gay stuff? What's going on with that, man? Like, what is this, a Diddy party? Like, are you buying lube? Ridiculous.
Yeah. Well, but I got to tangentiate a time for a couple of seconds because I got to say a big shout out and thank you to the people of Cape Breton. I heard like the highest number of firearms they got was 160, and that probably not 160 people, right? Like I know people who have 10. So like, like a couple dozen guys showed up, and so great job.
Yeah.
It's like 95% non-compliance, which is what we need.
Mm-hmm.
And the funniest thing I've heard on mainstream media the other day, the news person on the radio was saying some story, blah, 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 after Trump lashed out with tariffs. He lashed out with his tariffs. He's like a bobcat or something. Yep. Have some tariffs. They just can't say anything without slanting it, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like, it's insane.
It is insane. And I mean, like I was saying on my show today, it's if you dare, like say you work in a even manufacturing or a factory or something like that, factory floor, you wear your MAGA hat. You wear your MAGA hat to work. You're not wearing your MAGA hat to work, right? Like you go to walk out the door with your MAGA hat on. Your wife's saying, "No, I don't think so, honey. That's not a good idea," right? And then like if you do wear your MAGA hat to work, what do you think? You're going to get called into the office probably. Somebody's going to say, that's probably not a good idea here in Canada right now. You can't wear your MAGA hat here. So like, and if you then go to say, I've told the story before. I used to work in schools and I used to chat politics with the administration, like the principals and stuff. We'd all chat politics back and forth. And I went to the United States in 2015. on the night of the RNC acceptance speech. Trump was accepting the nomination for running for president from the RNC. And I was playing poker, and everybody stopped playing poker to watch Trump. And I was like, holy shit, he's going to win. And everybody was like, oh yeah, Hillary's going to win. Hillary's going to win. So I was excited to come back and tell everybody at the school, like firsthand knowledge of the Americans. You'll never guess. They're going to vote for Trump. And I was blackballed, ostracized, because I was like, listen, I didn't even say at the time that I liked Trump. I was just like, craziest thing. They're going to vote for him. He's going to win. And like, I'm 99% sure that he's going to win. And they were like, you're done, buddy. Sorry. I was no longer invited to the politics talk. No longer.
That's
gone.
weird. That's one of those times you always remember where you were, right?
Yeah.
Like I was in Swift Current for a work related trip, and I went to the pub and it was on the TV, and like I've never seen sadder news people than the people having to say the results of the 2016 election.
Yeah.
Ever.
Oh yeah, for sure. For sure. It was crazy. And I mean, I remember going to bed and I think my wife said, I said, Trump's up. And she said, he's not going to win. I said, I know, but he's up right now. So like, that's kind of fun, right? So it was like 11 o'clock. I'm laying down to go to bed, right? Actually, it was earlier than that because I had younger kids at the time. And so I woke up the next morning and I couldn't believe it. I was like, no way. I was like, I said to my wife, I was like, can you check the news? Because I'm not really sure. I can't believe it. So please let me know who won the presidential election last night. So yeah, it was pretty wild. Like, yeah, people, if we had an unrigged election, man, I think I'd do real well. I think I'd do super good, but I need a team.
No, you wouldn't run because you wouldn't know it wasn't going to be rigged this time.
I know. Well, it's obviously rigged, and not just like Max was describing rigging that is kind of rigging
It's
that
baked
people,
in.
yeah, that people are okay with. You know what I mean? It's
For
like,
example,
what?
why does I was thinking about this, that I don't know about doing a video or a post on some social media, and that the whole theory is that I'm trying to like think about this, how I can reach like conservative shills who just sweep up every little mistake the CPC makes. And I tried to think of a theory, and that what has the CPC actually conserved and done well since they merged with the Reform Party. Mm-hmm. Is like the Senate electable now? No. Is there electoral reform and does the West have a like equal say? No. Did Stephen Harper defund the CPC and also government grants to media? No, he didn't. In fact, he just let Sun News get taken off the air, which led to like the rise of Rebel News. Mm-hmm. So, in the grand scheme of things, even since the parties merged from Harper to Poilievre, what has this party managed to do right and like conserve or reform? And nothing. The answer is nothing.
I agree.
From like how I look at it.
Yep. I think they were hijacked because the party kind of came to fruition early 2000s, 2001, maybe 2002, maybe 3, I don't know. But the party came to fruition, and then Harper was the big kind of crown jewel, right? People really liked Harper. And
Harper
welded
it together. He made a coalition.
Yeah, he was the one who
coalition that got power.
That's right. And then, but it got through Harper doing that, through his years of governance, I think it probably got usurped in the same way, in the same way we see now, right? And maybe that's the old guys. Maybe Harper himself is a globalist.
Backroom boys. Like WEF, World Economic Forum.
Yeah,
like, it could be anybody, but it got subverted in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah, I think subverted because I can't. Not that I don't believe necessarily, but I find it hard to believe that people who would put together reform parties and conservative parties would easily be swayed.
Preston Manning.
Yeah, like Preston Manning, like all the people who did that hard work of getting the CPC put together. It kind of defies all of that hard work to sell out, right? Like, so how does that even happen? You sell out by inches, right? Like, and then all of a sudden you're in sellout city, right? You start working for your constituents, and then inch by inch you end up in sellout city, and I'm like, maybe, right? So, but it took until after 2006, right? And maybe even it took the 2008 collapse for Harper to get on board. And maybe they said to him, listen, You don't have to get on board, but if you don't get on board, like the Great Depression, you're going to
Get off the train.
Yeah, like you're not going to be included in all of these business deals coming up. And like you want to know how serious we are? We're serious as a 2008 financial disaster serious. We're Lehman Brothers serious, right? Like maybe, right? And maybe threats work, right? Like if you're the guy, so like I drive different. I've had to drive down to Toronto twice in the last week. To attend familial events and things like that. And so I've had my entire family in my car. And so like I drive aggressively, right? I've driven in New York and I've driven in other aggressive places. New Jersey, I've taken my car down to New Jersey and I've driven in aggressive places. So I'm an aggressive driver and I don't get rattled really easily or anything like that. But like, it's a different thing altogether when you've got your entire family in the car and you're like, okay, well, I could pull out in front of these people and I'm pretty sure my engine's gonna get up to speed and everything's gonna be fine and like it's no problem. But you drive different. You just drive different, right? And I think that if you are the prime minister and somebody comes in that you know and respect or you've heard of, Elon Musk comes in or somebody of a caliber, Chuck Schumer, the PMO, like these people who are, well-respected, high-placed people, they come in and they say, listen, Mark, we know you want to do X, Y, Z, but if you do this, if you do X, it's going to have an impact. And this is the impact it's going to have.
It's like every action.
You're going to starve. Yeah, you're going to starve everybody. I know you're trying to do good things, but like this SNAP thing with Trump, right? Like Trump is being blamed for removing the SNAP benefits. SNAP benefits impact 43 million people. These 43 million people don't have any money for food. And that's a terrible policy, and they should never have created that situation in the first place because that's idiocy and it's setting up a civil war. But anyway, that aside, you can't turn it off like that. You just can't do that. And so, like even Trump is trying to like pay this stuff out. You know what I mean? He's trying to. Well, it's like selling yourself out by inches to avoid like this is a bad consequence. Do you want a civil war? No, I don't. I'll pay the $11 billion a month. Thank you very much. Right? Like it's a what's it called? Ransom. Could you deport all those people? Like, what do you do? What do you do? And then also the stimulus of all that money, right? Like the stimulus of that money, Walmart depends on that money. That money's getting spent at Walmart. That money's not going into a bank account saving. That is digital currency. That is what it is. It's communism, right? Like, and so 43 million people are already doing it and they love it, right? And Trump's like, I want to fund it. I don't know if we can legally fund it. I'd say kill the program. Kill the program and then fund your own program that's work for food. Come on, show up. And I don't even agree with that. Like that's not even, I think that no food should be given by the government, but jobs subsidized with government money that need doing could be done to get money to buy food, right? But you don't get a card that just like, oh, you're going to starve. Here's a card. That's the incentive's wrong. It's all wrong. It's all wrong. So
The only place I can think of that has room for 43 million people off the top of my head, though, is California. Obviously.
Yeah, obviously. So yeah, man, it'll be interesting to see what this SNAP benefit thing. But yeah, even Trump is being threatened, and they're not joking. Like this is happening. This has happened, right? Like I don't think the Democrats have funded the government, and so like what happens when 43 million starving people decide I'm just going to go into the Walmart and take it? Trump will understand. You know what I mean? And like. Not that Trump won't understand, but the right move is to arrest those people, right? Like you can't just let lawlessness go. So I don't know what's going to happen, but it's sure as heck's going to be a wild ride. I think. I don't think it's going to be like the last year. Not that it's been smooth sailing, but it hasn't been catastrophic, right? There have been the tariffs coming in. Everybody was saying it's going to be catastrophic. The wars that all just get handled when Trump decides to put his attention on it. Catastrophic. Iran versus the Strait of Hormuz and all that stuff. The Houthis shutting that down. That was supposed to kill our oil. Trump was like, over a weekend, the heck you say, he says, and that's that. And so like we were supposed to have a very bumpy year. That didn't happen because of whatever Trump did. And like, good on him. I don't know that I'd be able to dance, like to be able to handle that and juggle all that, but he seemed to do it without breaking a sweat. He seemed to even be having fun. And now they're trying a different tactic, which is, and the No Kings protest was hilariously bullshit, right? So like, didn't work. And then, so they're trying this. And I think that this government shutdown, they looked at it and said, well, yeah, 43 million people are going to go without food. Let's use that. And they are, right? And they don't want it to stop. And so it'll be interesting. But yeah, I think that Trump should shut down the program, use his authority as the president, shut down this bloated program, and then offer people a lifeline. and say, if you want money for food, this is what you do. You get this Trump app, and so I don't know, but I'm saying, Peter, you got your hand up. Sorry, man, I've been talking along.
Yeah, you can
That's
you
all right.
can use Trump crypto.
I've heard.
It's kind
People
of
are very mad about that for him, and I was like, okay, whatever. I'm like, sure, you could be mad, but like, fucking hell. There's so many other things that, like, I'm mad at the wholesale theft of the West. I'm mad at the cultural destruction of our entire way of life. That's what I'm mad about. You can be mad at Trump, but like, there are bigger things to be mad about. Thanks, Ryan. Peter.
Wouldn't it be nice if they could develop an mRNA injectable for those poor people suffering from TDS? I mean,
It's incredible.
But anyway, speaking
Can't
of
see
we
reality.
were speaking of broken earlier. Have you seen that Aaron O'Toole has crawled out of the crypt?
Oh my!
Again?
In the Big 25, Aaron O'Toole.
Yeah.
It's crazy. There's a great channel which I just discovered yesterday, who I think had the best takedown of O'Toole's tweet. They're called the Red Ensign, and like he did a live stream and about how Aaron O'Toole has failed as a CPC leader and just conservatism has failed in Canada. I think it's a really good live stream. If you guys want to watch it, I can send you the link, Mark, if you want to maybe watch it or like have him on your show.
Stick it in the chat, Max.
Yeah, I'll find that right now. I'll get on that. Sorry to interrupt. I didn't. Sorry.
Yeah. So,
No, but it's the same thing with Andrew Scheer. I mean, Andrew Scheer is better just as a member of parliament than he ever was as leader. Aaron O'Toole was useless in any shape or form.
both Aaron O'Toole and Andrew Scheer were managed. Like, they were both told what to do. Aaron O'Toole.
But so was Pierre in the last election. What was her name? Jody or Jenny, whatever the hell her name was, that was managing the campaign. The handler. I mean,
take off your glasses.
Pierre's not a leader. He's a follower. Like, what do the polls say? And like in my comment, I'd love to go to a all candidates meeting and ask Pierre. So, by the way, Pierre, could you clarify exactly in what way is Christine Anderson a racist? Like, you talk about building alliances. Well, when you piss off somebody or piss everybody off that, kind of admires Christine Anderson for what she's trying to do.
Yeah.
I mean, they got more of a communist environment there than we do, though we're pretty close to getting there.
Well, it's quite interesting. Like, you bring up an interesting kind of aspect of all this that doesn't get talked about very often. It's that, like, in order to be conservative, you have to really ignore what's going on in England, the attack on free speech in England, the people being jailed for like internet posts, online posts. You have to ignore Germany and like the full scale invasion, cultural shift, Islamic Germany, and I mean, indeed, Islamic England too.
Cultural enrichment,
Everything.
enrichment.
Look, I mean, you have to look past the fact that you go out to predominantly Indian events and promise direct flights to India. Like, in order to fully believe in the CPC's version of conservatism in Canada, there are a whole lot of things that you have to either completely ignore or pretend aren't happening, and I'm just not interested in that. And like,
another thing people tend to ignore is like the heavy presence of, say, like the whole Sikh lobby.
Look, they're everywhere.
The only person I've seen in like independent media besides this show and Greg has been Mocha.
Mocha B. Yep.
And
Bert,
and he has like a whole like Moose on the Loose-esque flowchart of these people and their connections, whether it's I'm blanking on his name, but he helped with Aaron O'Toole's campaign and Patrick Brown's campaign for like the CPC leader. I'm blanking on his name, but he's connected to these Sikh lobbies. They're MPs.
And
his name is probably
connected.
Brown had to bow out of the leadership race of the CPC because he was
pushed out.
He was removed because he was selling fake. They said that he was selling fake memberships, right? And he was backed by the same people you're talking about, right? And then he went back to the mayorship. No problem, right? Like, it's weird. It's weird when you're
like nobody wants to call that out, which I find funny in like independent media. Everyone's silent on that.
Yep. That's very interesting. It's very interesting. Well, thanks, Max and Peter. We've got Steve and then MC.
Hey, well, on that specifically, I don't get why people don't focus on China a whole lot, man. Like, if you looked at what they do in China, like the guys at Serpenza, Lao Y86, the guys that lived there a decade, married Chinese wives back in America and stuff. If you follow
like the two Michaels,
Well, and he actually, one of the guys knew one of the Michaels, and it goes back and back and back, and it just spells out China in a nutshell.
Interesting.
And why isn't that like limelight shit, man? Because if they want like this big step in the world and a chunk of say, I don't get why everybody isn't like focused on, you know, the small things. Like, why do they have an express lane for organs that come out of the airports in China? Why? You know, like there's 100 different things. I just thought I'd throw that in. You know, you know, that guy, China is asshole, right? I say that all the time. I just say China is asshole.
So for organs
You know?
as well, they need people alive. So one of these things that doesn't get often talked about is in order
Uyghurs,
right? But also all of the
political prisoners.
yeah.
Lot
But I'm
of
saying
black folk.
I'm saying made people too. I'm saying organs are being taken from people who are choosing to end their own lives. And
Yeah, so
there's
we're trying
nobody who can warn you about how terrible it is. Like if so I've heard what's happening is you're actually just drowning in your own fluids, right? And like
yeah,
it's
brutal.
it's like a horrible way to die.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so like nobody comes back and says, you know, I've got a real, like, that's a 1-star Google review for me, dog. Like if I had a choice, I'd never do that one again. You know, like you go on a roller coaster once and somebody's like, oh, you wouldn't like that one.
Yeah,
There's
yeah.
nobody to come back and tell you, like there's warnings, but nobody knows. And people convince themselves that this is better than, you know, whatever the natural way is. And I mean, you know, if you get a way to die that is not drawn out and like dying, you know, the guy who had 27 hours, like that movie 27 Hours, he fell down and he got up, right?
Yeah.
Like if he died, like that would be a terrible way to die. Like that's a very long drawn out kind of way to die. I don't wish that on anybody. I don't want to be a long drawn out way to die. If I could go, you know, quick, that'd be better than a long drawn out thing, but I also don't want to die. So yeah, it's interesting now all of a sudden the cultural, it used to be socially unacceptable to commit suicide, right? Like you're not allowed to do this. It's against God. You're not allowed to take your own life. And now they're like, listen, it's real expensive to care for you medically. So take your own life. And that's weird. That's weird. Because I grew up in the era of old
Mark,
people.
it's not just weird, it's really kind of sick.
It's
You
sick,
know,
yeah.
like, it's sick.
Oh, I know.
Okay, like don't say it's just weird.
Well,
But that's the thing, and that's why I bring up China and like India. Like my friends went to India and they were mortified, man. Right. And then you travel through the States on a motorcycle like I did. And yeah, there's some sketch a little, but like night and day, my friend.
Mm-hmm.
I don't get why Canadians seem to think that like China is a great option compared to the US. Like,
We're being sold a story.
Those are simple things. Like they're simple in your face things, and I don't get it, man. It's derangement syndrome, right?
Yep. Thanks, Steve.
Yeah, it's pretty sick
everything's
when
deranged
they're
in this
saying the
country.
homeless, they're very ill. They need made, and then they take their organs. You know,
They just passed a bill.
They're trying to
They just passed
normalize that.
Yeah, they just passed a bill in Quebec. I talked about it on my show this morning about how the medical officer of health or the minister of health can go in and request your healthcare documentation from any doctor. And I think the reason for that is exactly what you're describing. They're going to say you're mentally ill and we need to MAID you because you're too mentally ill. Like your illness can't spread. Like we can't have that. So I think that's
Scary that Monty Python is right about a bunch of things, like about the arguing about the guy having a baby and are you done with your liver and bring out your dead. I'm not dead yet. I feel like going for a walk.
Yeah. Funny until it's reality. Thanks, guys.
Are we the baddies?
Yeah, yes, we really are.
We are the baddies.
MC.
I guess, the tent city people are just on a third world getaway, right?
Yeah.
The-
Introductory. Do you like
You
your
were talking
communism?
about how to be a conservative, you have to ignore all these things that are happening. But I mean, I think most of them just don't know. Like they just never, like I watch alternative media all the time, so that's what I know, right? I know about all this stuff. Those guys, people just aren't paying attention. They just honestly have no idea that all that stuff is happening. And they're going to be shit shocked when all the thing that that they didn't expect shows up right on their doorstep coming for them. But like, I think they don't know. They really don't know. Like they'll maybe they do know. Well, no, a bunch of this stuff they don't know. Like things are starting to show up though, like the land claim stuff, right? Like as if you can, seed your land, or well, even if you didn't seed it, but come back in 100 years and say, oh, look at that. Those skyscrapers are in keeping with my traditional way of life. I want those.
Yeah.
Yeah, but MP, look at what Mark brought up on his show, and I've pounded on this a few times. Like, okay, it's almost like $3.6 trillion in 70 years to the First Nations, now that we call them that, and 92% of all the murders and the happenings were from their own tribes and their husbands or boyfriends, or it was all related. The only 6% they couldn't find couldn't find. Doesn't mean that it wasn't almost like 100% native on native, like scary stuff. And do you ever hear about that multi-million-dollar, multi-year RCMP investigation? Like these things, man. I'm just saying, that's all I'm saying.
Well, and that 6% is probably at the Picton farm.
Yeah, indeed. But yeah, like back to your point a little bit of they don't know. I think that you're right. Like when the Danforth shooter thing happened, there's an alternate reality created by the mainstream media that is kind of the official story. And then like the Charlie Kirk thing. I mean, we could talk about that. The official story is one thing, and people behave as if the official story is correct. And I said, even before the Charlie Kirk thing happened, I was like, I don't think I'm going to believe the official story no matter what it is at this point in time, because things seem fishy here. Like it doesn't seem right. There's too many questions, not enough answers about all of the stuff that's going on. And with those two realities, people can choose to inhabit one or the other. And if you choose to inhabit the one that's skeptical, then not that you're othered, but yeah, like people are like, oh, okay, you're a conspiracy theorist, you're not aligning with whatever we're being told, blah blah blah. Like that's up to you, but we're gonna be over here with the science, fighting global warming and making sure that Ukraine wins and stuff. And I think it's insidious because it almost invalidates an entire political sphere, as like you're not living in reality because of a falsely constructed reality that is backed up by the media. Does that make sense?
Yeah, well, and it varies from place to place too. Like the people in the UK know, because you can tell, because like a couple 100,000 of them show up for a protest now, right?
Yep.
So they're finding out, right? Mm-hmm. But the people here that would show up for that protest don't even hear about that protest. That protest isn't on the news here, right? It's only on BitChute.
Yep.
It's like so they just won't even know until like did mainstream media even report like the Cape Breton gun buyback being withdrawn?
No,
and
I
stuff
didn't.
like
I didn't hear anything. I mean,
right?
I heard that it was withdrawn, but I didn't hear the details. Like you talking about the 165 guns turned in. I didn't hear about how catastrophically they failed at their goal.
Right. Yeah. See. And then they'll have one here, right? What do? They set a table up at the mall or something like that?
Yeah, I don't know. It didn't seem. I mean, like fundamentally, like when I reference this time period often because I think people know what I'm talking about. But during COVID, they said, you're not going to be allowed to use the playgrounds anymore because it's too dangerous. And everybody was like, no, I don't think so. Like, we'll arrest you for that. Like. And people said, arrest us then, because it's not going to stand up, because like, screw off. This is too far. And I think that's the same thing. Like, and I think right away, the government knew people were not going to comply with this ask, and they backed away from it. And I think it's the same thing. They know people aren't going to comply, and that's why they're not pushing it. You know what I'm saying? But if they think that they've got an angle where they can throw people in jail, they're going to take it. They're going to try it. But up to this point, there's no social indicators that this is a popular opinion. And so they're going to kick the can down the road until they've got that signal, or people just forget about it. You know what I mean? Yeah.
People are so weird that way. Like some bullshit thing you'll let yourself get arrested for, and another bullshit thing you won't let yourself get arrested for. Or this piece of property you can take away, and this piece of property you can't take away. Like, where's everyone's heads? Like
Calculated.
I
It's calculated risk. So like the less it really matters directly to your life. Like if your wife doesn't really care about that particular thing, like you can be like, "Pfft," right? But it's a lot of people, it matters what the people around them think. They base what they'll allow themselves to engage with on what other people will tolerate. And I know that you don't do that, and I don't do that, but there are a lot of people who do live their lives that way, because if they didn't live their lives that way, their wives would leave them, or their friends would not be their friends anymore. And so for me, like I told my friends, yeah, like this is what I think, and like you can take it or leave it, and I don't care if you leave it. And ultimately, I was the one to just kind of walk away and stop talking to them because there wasn't anything for me there anymore. You know what I mean? But people will swallow that. They won't engage with that, realizing that maybe they've outgrown their friends, or their friends aren't willing to grow in the direction that they're growing as a person, or whatever it is. And like friends grow apart, right? But people want to hold on to these things. And so there's cost that they're not willing to pay. And so they stop seeking out the truth as such, stop seeking out more information to discern the truth for themselves, and will accept what they're told because the relationship is more important to them. But for me, finding out the truth is more important to me. Not that the relationship's not important, but if you're going to be upset at me for trying to find the truth, then we didn't have the relationship I thought we had anyway. So
dismissing idiots makes you free.
yes, it really does. But sometimes you have to deal with people who don't see things the same way. And it's okay. For me, like, I don't mind if people don't see things the same way I see them, because like the way I see things now is very different than I saw things 10 years ago. Or even 15 years ago, like 2010 or 2015. But I wouldn't be intolerant, I don't think, of people who have different views of me, but I wouldn't adopt their views just to vibe with them, if you will. Like I wouldn't adopt their views just to make them feel better. I'd be like, I worked in children's mental health, and I loved nothing more than a good debate about things. And people would think that I was mad. And I'm like, I'm not mad. I'm just like vigorously debating. I'm not mad at you. I'm just like, let's like chop the wood on this, right? And people would be upset. And I'm like, listen, like, I'm just trying to get to the best answer. I'm not trying to be a dick or anything. Like, but I guess I come across that way or something like that. But I find it interesting to really chop the wood on things and examine things and like think about things from different points of view. Whereas a lot of people are like, oh, well, we stole the land. I'm like, well, depends on how you look at it. Cause like, what land, which band, like, and is conquering and settling a land stealing, or is that just what was done back then? Like, I don't think it's stealing.
And who's we?
Right, we. Which we?
I always ask
right,
that.
yeah.
Who is we in this conversation?
Yeah, like did the
Could you
people
describe that?
Right? Did the people who did
it just pisses me off so
Yeah.
much. The ignorance is just unreal.
But it's the ignorance is because they have to have a simplified story, because the we is evil Canadian settlers, but the reality of it is it was the first prime minister. What's his name? It's
John McDonnell.
Yeah, John A. McDonnell. Thank you. He put that together from different governments that had propped up, and like the way the country grew up was collaboratively. Everybody was collaboratively working together to build this thing, Canada. But it's sold to us in a simplified story that ignores all of the real history, right? Like, and so I don't think that there was a corporation that came in. Maybe it was a corporation that came in and said, we're going to take Canada, eh? And
what
we did.
Hudson's Bay?
Yeah, HBC.
Company? Yeah, okay.
Ni hao,
Okay.
right? They're Chinese now, aren't they? So
yeah, funny.
So
Well, my tolerance of normies is inversely proportional, I find, to how much they keep talking about their bullshit views.
No doubt.
yeah,
man, no
which
doubt.
I mean,
Agreed.
yeah, I'm interested. Well, there's a difference between people who are just saying something that they think is true versus people who are parroting an ideology. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but not that much different. People want to believe what they're saying, and they make themselves believe it, even if it's bullshit, right?
Yeah.
And like, they're not necessarily just parroting. They actually, someone said this, and so I'm in our society, so I just have to believe it. And then they meet someone who doesn't believe it, like, you don't believe it? I got to scream at you for 10 minutes.
Yeah, that does happen sometimes. It is an unfortunate byproduct of whatever's happened to our society. Who's got their hand up? Bill, you got your hand up. Thanks, MC.
Yeah. Well, on the Indian thing, yeah, they're usually victims of their own, and I know this from personal experience. I'll leave that there. Um, and as far as like, say, when we look at say organ harvesting and that, there's videos out. There's been videos out for years of that members of the Falun Gong and that smuggled out of China and that of hospital suites and death vans where they were like they were keeping them alive until they could just take everything they could until they actually died of organ failure or whatever. And what's going on today? Well, again, Yuri Bezmenov basically laid it out chapter and verse back in the early 80s. Person
Yes.
watches an hour and a half of that, and you pretty much got it in a nutshell. When you look, say, at what we've had for the last 10 years, is a push. We're pushing back in smaller groups against the final act, as it were, and then Carney's just continuing it at this point. And there are people, and there are people in government that are trying to push back.
I find it odd because like Yuri Bezmenov, whatever, Yuri B. I can't do that. What he says seems very obvious. I can see the reflection, or I can see the patterns of the things that he's saying showing up in our society, and yet our society continues to allow these things to permeate. Why do you think that is? Yeah, like are these things so insidious that they're hard to fight? Is it because we can't see them?
Dumbed down over the last 60 years or so, or 80 years.
Because we've been demoralized.
Well, not just demoralized. Like, we're like magpies, right? Only magpies in some cases are smarter than people. If you're spending more time these days, as my wife puts it, researching the next iPhone you get or whatever versus who you's going to be running your life for the next 4 years. People come home and you see it everywhere. Like I used to, when we used to travel around and do this and that, I was forewarned before I set foot in somebody's relatives' houses that they watch CBC over dinner, so don't just nod and just ignore it. And that's the unfortunate truth, and that's not just here. That's all over the place. Like,
wow, I saw that only 1.6% of people watch CBC now. So, I mean, way back in the 90s, I remember.
What percent of people actually vote?
I think the population numbers are all rigged. I think the population numbers are fudged. And in addition to the population numbers being fudged, the mail-in ballots and the fungible tokens of having a central place, so like you can vote anywhere, and then at the end of the night, if you vote anywhere, then those votes have to be moved and then counted. All of that gives the air.
Well, now you have chain of custody issues.
There's no chain of custody. There's no legitimate. I don't think there's any legitimacy to our elections. Like people say they're safe and they're hand counted, and I say bullshit. There's no legitimacy.
I've been involved in that process. Like I've gone in.
Oh, I know, but I feel like even people
elections and stuff, and
no, I don't feel
give
like
them an edge. Like, because I've seen some things, I've complained about it. And you can never get away from that. Let's face it. That's as long as we have democracy.
I think you can get there's going to be some issues with voting, but what we're seeing is massive, coordinated media and government, the government has like debate commissioners who have conflicts of interest. We've got people who that's not legitimate to me. Like people can say, oh, it's legitimate. It's not legitimate. Like it's not legitimate. You can't tell me that this is an above board process where Canadians participated and can feel confident in the outcome. It's not legitimate. There's no part of our electoral system that's legitimate. And maybe people who are counting, who are part of the apparatus of Elections Canada, who are in the room, maybe they look at what they're doing and they can't see the corruption or they can't see the rigging. That doesn't mean it doesn't exist. That just
Oh, no,
means that they can't see it.
exists. It's just that in a lot of cases, the very people that would be the ones that would maybe point it out aren't the ones that show up there. Like the left is very, very good at
They're-
mobilizing,
Yeah.
getting votes.
They're
The
organized.
right spends more time picking at each other and saying, well, you know what, this person didn't do exactly as I wanted, so I don't like them anymore.
Well, the problem is like with Pierre Poilievre, it's not he didn't do exactly as we wanted. It's that he has a huge blind spot, and the blind spot happens to be all the issues that people actually care about. And so, like, it's not, oh, you're not taking on this issue. It's that you're not taking on any. It's basically you're a liberal and you're helping the liberals. And so,
Well,
like,
the problem is our system again. You have to placate Ontario and Quebec, and the far west and the far east in some senses.
nobody's
and-
placating anybody.
But oh, yes, they do. The Conservatives have to in order to get votes in Ontario and Quebec. If I was say to run for office and say, okay, we're getting rid of the PAL system, we're taking firearms out of the criminal code completely because it's a farce, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. As I pointed out to the gun orgs, and usually get my comments taken off because that stuff doesn't work. A permit for my private property doesn't work. Okay. But also if say somebody like Poilievre, and I'll use Poilievre figuratively as an example, say he gets out and he says, you know what? Yeah, I'm going to act like Trump. I'm going to tell you that no taxes on tips, no this, no that, because we got to rebuild our economy. And the only way to do that is to reach out and to have people spending money again internally. Again, we have to get rid of all the crap that the liberals have put in. So he goes out and he sells that. Well, it's a soft sell in the West because we're going to vote Conservative for the most part regardless. In the East, though, like I said, you get these big urban centers and everybody there who's, they're
Brainwashed.
what's that?
Brainwashed.
Well, yeah. And also they honestly believe the Canadian myth that we're better than everybody. So
Ridiculous. I live in Ottawa, and the population is twice what it's supposed to be. They say it's 1.1 million. That's a laugh, man. It takes me an hour and a half to get from the west end to the east end.
Well,
now, it used to be 22 minutes. So
Sure.
I agree with everything
Because
you're
it's
saying. Bill,
traffic.
carry on.
take a look at the people that are running your traffic control and that.
Yeah, they're screwing it up on purpose too.
It's Edmonton is the same way. Like they and my wife got it straight from a traffic engineer at working through City Hall. That the mayor at the time, and now we've got Knack. He's the most inept counselor and the most hard left counselor because of name recognition, and not to say that there was many other choices.
They want us to get nothing done. They want us to get nothing done.
It's
It's
war on
weird.
cars. They want you to get frustrated to the point that you'll park your vehicle and then take the bus or buy into the fact. And I do.
No, my Hemi rules, and I have tools. Hemi rules, I have tools.
Yeah, but my point is that when you're going down the road and you see lights sequenced to the point where to get past 3 blocks on a main interchange is taking you 5 to 7 minutes.
3
when
red
if you're
lights.
not maybe a minute.
Yep.
There's something going on, right?
Yep.
And that's all programming.
Yep.
Anyways, but where was I going with this? Oh, on the gun thing, the gun buyback in Cape Breton, or where was it? Was it Cape Breton? Yeah. Well, they got 167 guns. I'll bet you half of those guns were seized guns that were already in stores. The other ones were a couple of old ladies who found their husband's pistols in the dresser drawer, where everybody kept them, just in case. And that was it. Nobody's complying with this garbage. I've flat out told anybody that'll listen. You want them? Come get them. You know what I mean? My wife's the same way. And everybody I've talked to, there's maybe 1 or 2 old fuds out there.
Right on, Bill. Right on, man.
Well,
Bill,
yeah.
I bet you nobody turned them in. It's only guns that were in businesses because the businesses knew that they were screwed.
Yeah. Or like I said, the RCs already had, or the city cops already had because of something else.
I bet you there was next to none. 3 to 5 people, maybe, and exactly what you said. Somebody that found something,
Yeah.
There's
They're
no,
ignoring it.
there's no legal
I
gun
bet
owners.
you-
I
I
just
bet
hand
you-
them over. There's not, especially
That's
out
right.
here.
I
Yeah,
bet you
and most of the
180
cops are
people
ignoring
got
it
guns.
too. Most of the cops own those things. So I mean, they're going like, we're not doing that, man.
Yep. Thanks,
It's the
Bill.
white chicks.
Yeah, man. Thanks. Noel, you had your hand up. Did you want to?
Yeah, I did.
Okay, go.
I wanted to say, like, just like you guys were all saying, how weak, how backwards, how everything in Canada is. Well, look at our general in chief or of our whole Canadian armed forces cries
Yeah.
in a press conference, fire that woman.
Yep.
They're like she needs to show a warrior's mentality. She can make an apology. I'm not saying don't make the apology. What I'm saying is don't bloody well cry and make us look even more weak and pathetic than we already are.
Yeah, we should work on doing the job, not on apologizing for the past. Like you can't judge
agree.
you can't judge the 1980s by 2025 standards, and you can't judge.
You can't put on a lens of 2025.
Yeah, you
and
just
look
can't.
backwards.
It just doesn't make any
But-
sense.
But you know, we've had our national anthem screwed up at least 3 times this week.
Mhm.
Right? One of them was accidental, and she sung the original lyrics. Okay, no problem.
Good.
Right?
Which one did that? Was that last night?
No, that was Brenda Cox. A couple nights ago.
Oh man,
She sings Sons, and she tried to say they after, and she was like, "Meh," and just went forward with Sons. It was great. But the other two doughheads
yeah.
that are bastardizing our national anthem, even though it's been bastardized by our last primed moron.
Yep.
It's if any of those American singers would have bastardized a lyric, a one word, they would have been career over. They wouldn't have made it to the parking lot.
Yep. People would have been upset.
And here in Canada, yeah, okay, I seen the National Post. They had an article about both of the guys that changed the lyrics for their own personal recognition of anything.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just so shameful that even though growing up, I was always proud to be a Canadian, right? And I still want to be proud to be a Canadian, but they're making it so dang hard.
Yeah, that's true.
To stick to your guns, and that's what they're trying to do. Is they're just trying to demoralize you so much that you're just like, I don't care anymore. I just leave me alone. I might be able to make it another 20 or 40 years before I'm dead. So just like, leave me alone.
Yep.
And I a lot more people that I run into, especially in the rural areas in Nova Scotia, are that. Like, I got 20 or 40 years left, maybe. Like, just leave me alone. And they're done with every form of government because currently they're all the same.
Yep. Yeah, they're terrible.
Right. And I don't know. Pierre, I doubt Pierre is going to win unless they need to change a face. But I think if we go for an election, sadly to say, I think there's too many people that have not suffered hard enough in the urban centers, exactly like what Max said. They're sucked onto these liberals because it's either where they get their funding or it's who let them into the country. So
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
And no one wants to acknowledge that, and nobody wants to acknowledge that for some reason when it's clear that for the past 10 years people haven't bled enough. There's a quote, I think it's probably from like the Bible, but the like gist of the quote is there can be no salvation without suffering, and nobody has and we haven't all suffered enough. And
Well, I hope
and the places that mattered haven't suffered enough.
Well, I hope you're wrong. I hope you're wrong there, Max. But I hope that Mark Miller doesn't decide that Bible verse is hateful. So fingers crossed.
Oh yeah.
So
ridiculous.
My place of work, on Thanksgiving, they didn't mention Thanksgiving at all.
Really?
There was no happy Thanksgiving message. There was no have a good time with your friends or family. The Friday before Thanksgiving, it was Happy Mental Health Day. And the Thursday after Thanksgiving was get to work, you slacker.
Weird.
So I wanted to bring it up, and I didn't know how and who to, but I wasn't afraid to. I had to play my cards, right?
Mm-hmm.
So Thanksgiving, it was a couple weeks ago now. And I had a meeting with my boss every couple of weeks. We have just a little one-on-one. So I had a nice conversation with my boss and said, this is bullshit. Because what did they celebrate instead of Thanksgiving a week later? Diwali!
Which one?
Diwali. Because we have about 8 or 10 new Canadians from India.
Oh,
so
Diwali.
the company's like, oh, we'll celebrate Diwali instead of Thanksgiving.
Weird.
So I've approached my boss so he can now approach some other people and see if we can get an answer to this. I've also approached the health and safety person because she really likes Thanksgiving too. And if I get any response back, I'll let you guys know.
Yeah.
Because what I've asked for is a public apology from the company to the workers for not acknowledging Thanksgiving, and they have to acknowledge that they didn't acknowledge Thanksgiving.
Yeah. That's crazy.
So if I get anywhere with this, I'll let you know.
Yeah.
I don't think I'm going to get anywhere with this, but I'm pressing a little hard on it, and I'm speaking for a lot of people on the floor because they don't want to be all caught up in like, oh my God, you're saying something racist. I don't care.
Yeah.
It's just factual. You didn't acknowledge one of our cultural traditional holidays that is important to a lot of people in this country, and you recognized a cultural traditional holiday from another country that is not important to anybody here.
Yeah. Wild.
So I'll let you guys know.
Yeah. Thanks, man. Weird stuff.
Also, my bag of buns is turning an expiry date 1 year old, or is it 1 year? Yeah, 1 year old on the 4th of November, budget night, and there's still no mold on those things.
Yeah, mine's still sitting there, no mold in my cupboard as well. So I've
and
transited.
my Wonder Bread ones that are 6 months old, no mold.
No mold. Weird.
So Dempster's and Wonder Bread, no mold.
No mold. Interesting. I wanted to try. Maybe you could try whole wheat. Do you have a whole wheat one? Whole wheat loaf? Somebody said the whole wheat loaf that I have molds, and I know that for sure. And I was like, really? Because I've only tried white bread, so maybe the whole
I've
wheat.
only tried buns.
All right.
I've only been trying buns.
The white Walmart bread doesn't mold either, but I haven't tried the whole wheat. So if you have, grab a whole wheat loaf, and we'll do an experiment.
Okay.
Okay. I got to get MC on, and then I got to go. So thanks, Noel. And MC.
Well, Noel, first of all, happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you.
The contemporary response to your grievance is you're fired.
Yes,
And-
indeed.
Hey, it might be.
I hope not for you, man.
Going back to what Bill was saying a while ago, it only takes a few ringmasters to indoctrinate all the useful idiots, and the first indoctrinated useful idiots think that they're ringmasters, right? And that's the infection of the academia, I guess.
Well, and that's the list that Max was talking about earlier, right? The people who thought that they were the spin doctors who were actually just the first
Puppets.
Yeah.
Yeah, the first puppet.
Yeah. And also, Bill, you should run for office. Your campaign should be, I just want the pension. If this is how you win it, you say, I'm going to make it into a lottery. In 6 years, I'm going to quit, and there will be a by-election, and I'll draw from a hat who the next constituent is that gets to run. And then they'll win the lottery, and then you can have about 6 or 7 lottery winners, I guess, who'll just get lifetime pensions.
Perfect.
And
Success.
Might be worth a try. I wouldn't be able to keep my mouth shut though once in there. So
This might be.
Bill,
This might illustrate accidentally the upside down incentive structure we have in our governance. I was like, why doesn't everybody do? Why doesn't everybody bilk off the government for a pension?
I'm
Wait a second.
continuously thinking of ways to mock the system, and that would be perfect.
It's so funny.
and you say things like, and I think parking lot fights in high school should be okay again.
Oh yeah. I remember we had
I do think they are.
the police came to my high school because there were guys from KCI, which was Kitchener High School, and I wasn't sporty or anything like that, so I didn't even really understand the rivalry. I was like, what happened? Why are they coming? Like somebody's girlfriend? Like something happened with some, what happened? And it was some sport thing. and they were supposed to fight, and everybody was talking about the different, because the high school I went to is directly adjacent to a park with like a wading pool and stuff. And so the topic of the day was, if we have a fight at the park and not on school property, can the school do anything like suspend us? And I was like, if you have to ask that question, you should probably not fight anybody. You should probably just go home. Like that's
Just get it out while you're young.
this is
man.
probably
You
a bad
want
idea.
to fit-
Well, I was
Exactly.
already,
You want to-
this is
bring
like
it
grade
into
11.
Politics.
Oh, I know.
This is
I know.
the thing. They drag it into adult life, and then I gotta suffer because you didn't get a punch in the mouth in grade 8. You needed a punch in the face, dude.
Maybe. No, this was like grade 11. And I was like, I had co-ops that I did, and I worked at Taco Bell. So like I would leave my high school after lunch, usually around 1:00. But that 1:15 was the end of my period C. So I had a spare period D, and then I'd leave my high school. And I had a co-op as well, so I would often leave at like 11:00 in the morning, and then I'd finish the
But
school
Mark,
day.
you had goals.
I did.
Goals. It
Yeah, I
shows,
did.
man.
And then
Right?
and then I worked. So, and I
Yeah.
was like, so before I left, my buddy was like, I'm going to go check out the fight after school. And I was like, good luck, man. Like, I don't think it's a good idea. And then like somebody brought a gun. Like there was one of the guys from KCI brought a gun, and it was like a big deal. Everybody's like, oh, there was an announcement. Like if you know somebody who has a gun, and I was like, this is ridiculous.
Anybody here old enough to know toe to toe, punch for punch? Do you know what that is? Toe to toe, punch for punch. First guy to hit the ground, you help him up. That's it.
And then that's
Done.
all the things that are done.
That's
okay.
done.
Yeah.
It's
No,
a
I
rule.
never
Toe to toe,
fought.
punch to punch.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah,
I-
the rules used to be once somebody was down, you had to wait for them to get up.
Yeah.
Yeah, you
And
don't touch
there
a
was no
thing, man.
2-on-1. I've watched people fight.
Now.
And when somebody else jumped in,
Yeah.
everybody else pulled the second guy out. No, it's
That's
just
it.
these two guys.
No,
Yeah.
toe to toe, punch to punch. Whoever hits the floor, see you later. And usually a week later, they just nod in the hallway.
Yeah, that's that, right? Things
Yeah.
are over. There was, and there is something to be said about people understanding the social hierarchy and setting all that stuff. There is a Rumble channel that is like the biggest slap or something like that. Have you guys seen this? You just stand there and like you hold a thing, and then people just come up and like slap you, and then
No.
yeah, this is like a sport.
like flat
No,
competition?
you're like you you are you.
No, it's really big. It's
you
really
yeah,
big
it's a
these
huge.
days.
I couldn't believe it. I was like wait a second, what is? I felt like I was actually living in Idiocracy. Like it wasn't watching
Yeah,
a
you
movie.
are. You are.
I was like, this is
some
not
guy-
actually
some guy
happening
lost
right
his
now.
chiclets. Like some guy.
Yeah.
lost a few
Oh, man,
chiclets.
it's
Like,
crazy.
he
I
hit him
saw
so
women.
hard that he lost a couple chiclets.
I saw women. I just hit because I was like, this isn't real, and I hit it, and it was a woman hitting a woman, and like the woman. So like you have to stand, and you have to have your hands holding on to like a handle, and then
Oh, yes,
boom,
I know this.
and they hit
Okay,
you,
yeah,
and
right,
then you get your turn to hit them. And I was like, this is a sport. And I watched
Oh, that
two.
was in
I was
middle
like,
school.
that's
Oh,
done.
Oh, that brings back
No,
a memory.
it's not a
Okay, yeah.
sport. It's hate. It's hate theater.
Yeah, yes. This is our 2 minutes of hate. This is 1984's 2 minutes of hate. That's exactly what's going on. Okay, with that, I have to say goodbye because I actually have a place that I have to be and I have to get going. So with that, thanks for joining us, everybody, and we'll see you next week, hopefully. And I'll stop the stream and stop recording.